Hello and welcome to today's session on private networks. I'm Hima Kadia from TechNexus, and we are delighted to have Parm, who is a VP for Enterprise Products and Services at NTT Data, and Alex, who is a VP for Partner Sales from Nokia, joining us today. Nokia and NTT Data jointly won the recent TechNexus Private Network Award for Excellence in Private Network Deployments for Smart Cities. Welcome, Parm. Welcome, Alex. Before we begin, I would appreciate if you can take few minutes to introduce yourself, and then we can dive down into the questions.
Sure. Hi, Emma. Thank you. Thank you for having myself and what's amazing recognition. So to win this award with our partnership with Nokia and also our customer, City of Brownsville. So I'm Parm Sandhu. I lead the Enterprise 5G products and services portfolio, focusing on private 5G networks, as well as edge computing and edge AI offerings. And NTT Data is a global SI. We are the top 5, and we service everything from ICT, data centers, application development, and consulting services.
Thank you, Parm. Yeah, and thank you very much, Hema, for the opportunity for us to be on the meeting here today and to be able to speak to the case of smart cities in Brownsville. So my name is Alex van Overveld. I'm responsible for partner sales in North America for mobile networks. As a player in private wireless, we're very happy to have the recognition together with our partner NTT Data. And we're delighted to focus on this as well as other cases in the next years together with NTT.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Let's begin with our first question. We have seen significant rise in private network deployments in the recent years. So, which trends do you see would further expand private network deployments in the coming years? And from enterprise perspectives, how do you see their needs evolving across industry verticals?
Yeah, it's been a journey. We've been involved in this for 4 years, building private network offering and solutions and go to market. I think to what's really accelerating this is that enterprises started the first few years of proving out the technology and POCs, and there was a lot of questions around is the technology there, devices. A lot of those questions are now past us. Like POCs are done. Now it's more about companies looking to do digital transformation. What we mean by that is things like they want to drive operational excellence. There's a challenge in worker safety that they're seeing. Edge AI has opened up AI and has opened up a brand new sort of opportunity, like a use case that's come together that's driving that transformation. So a lot of these have a requirement to gather and collect data on the premise, at the edge, in a city, in a factory, in a plant, in a mine. And that digital transformation of these services and automation is driving that need for connectivity so that operations companies become more efficient. They can see their supply chains end to end. They can look at, what are their costs, how to be more efficient. So we're seeing those big trends, and now we're seeing more use cases and applications coming right out of the box. So I think that is driving, and then with AI, completely transforming the demand, right? Everybody has that demand of how do you unlock and activate the data that's sitting at the edge.
Yeah, thanks, Parm. I very much echo that. And I think it's important to know that if we look at, so data capture is obviously a big part of digitalization. And currently what we see is that 74% of data is not captured, right? So with private 5G, we're able to get access and to enable our enterprise customers to access that data, and indeed, like Parm says, with edge compute, with AI, be able to predict and to create models, have digital twins of their factory, of their city, and be able to predict and to anticipate early on events which are ongoing in their environments. So that I think together with future developments to its things as Cloud RAN will further stimulate and will further have that development to its edge and edge compute and processing of data near to the edge and near to where customers have their processes, be it business, be it utilities, be it a government, or be it a city. Right? So it's important for all of them to be able to process information fast and to leverage that data when it's fresh.
So from challenges perspective, what are some of the biggest challenges that you have faced when you're deploying private networks? And what are some of the learnings that can further be taken and applied to address in other deployments?
Yeah, do you want to go, Alex, first?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. I appreciate that. Thanks, Parm. So I think that when it comes to challenges, the very foundation of a private wireless network always starts with spectrum, right? So that having spectrum and access to spectrum is key and is critical, where we do see good strides in US, Canada, and Europe to have spectrum available. I think that we have a lot of spectrum partners also where we work with outside of the general available spectrum. And I think that second to that is from a radio network perspective in 5G is the ability to plan and to design the network to meet those requirements of the end customer. So to have solid RF expertise, I think that's an important one. And the third one, which I recognize and we're also exactly playing on why we are so keen to partner with NTT Data, is that partner ecosystem. I think that's a very important one. 5G for smart cities or 5G for enterprise, of course, it's key and critical to have a mission and business critical network there, but the ecosystem is important to unlock that data. And as Parm and me were discussing earlier, if we talk about how you process all that data, then that ecosystem is super important. And maybe Parm, you want to add more there?
Absolutely. You know, there's the technical components that Alex talked about, but I think, you know, if you think about why companies deploying private network is to deliver outcomes, is to achieve the outcome and business outcome. So we are the managed service partner for these companies, and we bring, as Alex said, you know, the network, the technology to build a network, and then these networks and the way companies operate today is they want full control of these networks. They want service level agreements because they're putting them in their mission critical networks, whether it's a factory, the city, because they're going to use these to, you know, save time for citizens, make the city more productive, make, you know, it has to integrate into their IT networks, their systems, right? And that's the big challenge. So NTT being the major global ITC provider, we bring that capability, we make it seamless for them from design, initial proposal, solution consulting, why do they need it, what are the outcomes they need to achieve. And we work with partners like, you know, Nokia device partners, other partners to bring the entire solution, because the challenge that has is we're not just delivering a network, we are delivering an experience, operations. And then what happens is once the network's deployed, this network isn't just deployed once, it's that operations. Who's going to operate it for them? The cities don't have RF network engineers like the telcos do. So NTT, being that global managed service provider, we run and operate the network. We work with Nokia in a partnership. If we need their technical support, let's say there's a major problem, they have to have the network up and running, back up and running if there's a problem. They cannot experience outage. They have to have, because they're trusting these solutions. So we bring all of that together. Now, there's also a business model component. Many of our customers looking for flexibility, right? Some of them want it as a service, so we can deliver it as a service because there's huge capital outlay that they have to put in. And if they're not getting that ROI, that's a big risk up front. So making sure that the entire solution end to end, both on a TCO basis, both on a delivery and success and the outcome, has to be critical. And then we build these standard solutions for them end to end and operate them with SLA. So that, I think, are some of the challenges. One other challenge I do want to touch upon, which Alex alluded to, is the ecosystem. We need devices. We need end devices, right? Smartphones, modems, cameras. We need to bring applications. So putting all that together, this is not the domain of the normal day to day of an enterprise IT team or, a city IT team. So we take that and we make it very easy for them to buy and manage and run that network for them.
Palm, you mentioned network as a service. We've
Mhm.
seen this deployment model getting attraction in private networks. How do you see that network as a service would benefit enterprises specifically where you're deploying? And the second part is uh, how does it reduce the complexity of private network deployment?
Sure, sure. So if you look at companies today, right? They're really challenged. If you look at inflation, their input costs have gone through the roof, energy costs have gone through the roof. They need to transform. They need to still drive efficiencies and cost savings. But quite often, they don't have the upfront capital to make that investment. A network, the design, deployment, build end to end is very costly. So where do you get that capital budget to then realize the savings and reinvest back in the business? So it's that chicken and egg problem that companies have. Network as a service, as an NTT, we take all of the network, all the services to build, and we can just, over a 3 year or 5 year agreement, make it as a monthly subscription to them. And that really allows them to achieve that transformation, drive those savings, and not have to worry about that large upfront capex investment. So that, allows them to do the transformation. And no matter how much you want to do, unless you have budget, you can't do it. And this is a problem we take away off the table for them. Um, it is something that companies, different because, they're usually doing a 3 or 5 year commitment. And during that time, we prove to them, hey, there's an ROI here. There's a TCO savings, which savings can then fund these network deployments and modernization. Really simplifies the CIO and the CFO's life. That's the benefit, and they're seeing that. And that's a model that's proven in cloud, right? That whole infrastructure as a service. And we're basically putting that on premise, on site, and offering that network as a service for them.
Yeah, I think it's an important model, as you said, Parm. It's where customers and users may not have that experience, may not have all the understanding on these private wireless networks. So to get them up and running fast, to avoid that they're building up support teams in order to support that 5G infrastructure, and to cater for budgets as a service is a model which works very well. Right? So unless a customer has a budget to deploy immediately globally or to deploy in all of their factories and all of the city, as a service is a model to get them up and running fast.
Thank you.
And just one other ask him onto that is we also launched device as a service. So making sure that they not only have the network, but also devices. So if they need scanners or they need tablets, NTT has an existing business device service because in our large enterprise base, we bring laptops, devices. So adding industrial 5G connected devices was just a simple natural evolution of that offering for us.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That was something I was not aware of. Thank you
Yeah,
for sharing that.
no problem.
Moving on to the smart cities. I mean, based on your ongoing deployments, such as Brownsville, what are some of the learnings, and how do you take those learnings and apply to other urban environments?
Yeah, so this is a great cities need to modernize, right? They have challenges, a lot of manual operations today. They also have a lot of legacy infrastructure that is there, but it's operating, and they don't have a lot of great insight in terms of, technology that some of this is legacy, like traffic lights and traffic management, which is a huge issue for citizens, right? So if you look at, citizens can be just waiting in time satellite on streets. And then there's construction, and it can add from somebody's time to get from point A to point B, 20, 30, 40 minutes, not optimizing the traffic flows as an example, which is a direct cost to the city, direct cost to citizens. People are sitting in their cars waiting, sustainability, environmental impact. So, cities are looking to modernize their infrastructure, but, as they're getting into electric cars, how do you monitor that? How do you self-driving? They need that platform. And what we're, and that even if they're making investments, like City of Brownsville made an amazing investment in a fiber network connecting all points throughout the city, homes to fiber. But to unlock that investment, they also need a wireless network. So if you think about smart city, one of the core foundations in a smart city is that connectivity platform. On top of it could be IoT platform. On top of that could be, interface into connecting citizens to digital services. It has to go digital because that's how we do everything. To simply paying your parking ticket nowadays is a digital experience. You can't unless you want to go in person, very rarely. So this is, cities also want to look at how they make their life of their, developer community, people who are in construction, all of them. So it all has to get digitized. In order to digitize that, you need that foundational network. And that is really one of the foundations that we look at. And so if you think about cities being a digital platform and the outcomes they deliver are to their citizens, to their businesses, safety and security. They want to make sure the assets like parks are being utilized. They're investing where they need to invest. And then there's a whole tourism component. How do you interact with, give information to tourism, which generates new revenue opportunities for the cities as well. And then, they're delivering service to their end customers. Those services need to be digitized, just like in a factory. You need that connectivity. So this is what we bring, but then they also need a partner. They need a partner like, NTT, and in case with Nokia and us, we're building the entire foundation of that connectivity network platform for cameras that could be utilized for AI analytics to say, hey, your traffic flows are just too long. You need to optimize this segment of your street, or you're doing construction and creating a huge inconvenience for people. Pedestrians are not, having to. What is the pedestrian countage? And on a lot of this helping to modernize infrastructure and get insights. If there's problems, some of the cities want to know, like, we have traffic flows structured in a way that cause maybe unnecessary accidents. How can we help them optimize those traffic flows? So by having this data, we can help them analyze and create dashboards for them on that. So that's some of the challenges that the cities are facing. And the second part is the other challenge is technology. They don't have the people. As more and more people are moving into these cities, they don't have the technical expertise that we can bring, from a global perspective and help them modernize their infrastructure.
Yeah, to add to that, when it comes to the infrastructure, right? So, and you mentioned it already, Hima. So there is a foundation when it comes to it's a backhaul and a fiber infrastructure. But looking at smart city and looking at the thousands and millions of actually endpoints and devices which you want to connect, sensors, cameras, which Parm was talking about, you need an infrastructure which doesn't need you to pull a cable to its every endpoint, but you need that wireless infrastructure to allow it to scale. And I think that there, one of the key learnings is to really very well partner up with the city and to make sure that you design a network which meets the capacity needs now, but also meets future capacity needs, and to really carefully look at your use cases so you can scale it and you can avoid having to expand networks in a couple of years, which is driving up costs in order to have another bucket truck get up there and to install radios, but to really carefully look at that, what that capacity and capacity evolution is going to be for the city in terms of use cases. I think, Parm, that's where you guys are also working well, right, with City of Brownsville.
That's exactly. We didn't just sell them a network. We sold them a whole smart city platform, which is that analytics and dashboard where they can see everything.
So in terms of the smart city use cases, I think you've already addressed my next question on beyond connectivity, what are the smart city use cases? My only part to that question would be, what advice would you give to the technology partners and the cities to help them prepare to take advantage of this new use cases that are enabled by the private 5G networks?
Yeah. So getting back to like when we've been in many meetings with the CIO and the city leadership team, one of the biggest, I mean, what in Brownsville is amazing is that, the CIO view is, hey, his customers are the citizens, his customers are the operations and engineering departments, his customers are the police departments who are operating, et cetera, et cetera. The advice one of the most amazing sessions we had was he was able to bring all of them together into a meeting with NTT, and then we can focus on the problems. And unlike, and also the engineering department, he brought them all in. A lot of other cities I work with is you typically working with the CIO team, and they're talking more around the technology, and let's build the technology and then we'll figure out the solutions. I think my advice to them is that's the most important thing, is if you really want to embark on a program like this, you need to bring all the stakeholders together. That's number one. Number two is that, look, AI is coming, right? And part of AI advice I would give them is that AI is different. If you're processing all that data at the edge, you need that connectivity, you need that processing capability, because you can't just dump all that data into the cloud. The cost is huge, right? Storage is huge. So, and processing is huge, that you need this hybrid approach of, you need that connectivity on the ground, you need that processing on the ground to create efficiency, because there's this big shift. Everything went to the cloud, started going, and then people realized that there's a huge cost, and storage, any data, bits and bytes that go in there, is a chargeable item. Now, sort of this pendulum is sort of swinging a little bit into the center. We're saying, hang on, I need to process this data locally. I need to unlock and activate that data. So I would say think about it from that point of view, and that AI is gonna be huge. And then finally, the last part is make sure it's delivering value to the citizen. It's clear. Are you saving them time? Are you making their life easier? Are you, can they interact? Also, there's underserved people who don't have the services that they don't have. So digital transformation is a great way to help, right? Those are some of the areas I think cities really need to consider as they embark on this journey.
Thank you, Parm.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, so the different stakeholders in the city, it's super important to take full advantage of that network, of the infrastructure which you're investing in, and making sure that you can satisfy more use cases with that. And you already mentioned quite a few, right? You already mentioned already police, or things as mission critical push to talk. These networks are built and are developed for mission and business critical, right? So they super well cater for the needs of also these kind of users and potential users of these networks.
My next question is to you, Palm, specific to NTT Data. Um, what are some of the top priorities and expectations that you hear from your enterprise customers, and how are you aligning NTT Data portfolio to meet those enterprise needs?
Yeah, so definitely a couple of key items here that we see through surveys that we've done, but also we did a recent survey about 200, CIOs. So number one, we're finding is security. While 5G, we talk about the speeds and all that, security and having a secure network for their digital transformation, where they're putting more sensors and things in, is number one. They want to make sure, and this is what we're able to offer with this private networks. The data stays on premise. Everything's there. It's SIM authentication. We're adding more security capabilities and visibility into that, so that when they're investing in these networks, they know that they can trust them on the future. It's going to meet all their needs of security and visibility. The other part of it is that they're asking for performance and SLAs. The network has to do what it needs in order for them to achieve and trust the network that it can deliver, and they can put that. So these are really things like, we're working with Nokia and the performance of the radios and networks and partners, but also adding more capabilities so that we get visibility into the network, how it's performing. When you buy your cell service today from a carrier, you just get the service. You have no visibility. Is it good quality here? Am I going to walk around the corner? Maybe it's not going to work. You experience it every day as a consumer of a cellular network, right? Or even a Wi-Fi network. Well, an enterprise can't have that. If an AGV is driving moving around the plant, even if it goes around a building, it still has to stay connected. It can't be stuck there. So they need that visibility and performance. So we're adding more capabilities and evolving it, that quality of experience is there throughout the operating environment, the locations. And then the last one I'll talk about is this whole tremendous focus on edge AI. Companies have moved, like AI was originally around, everybody thought we're just going to create queries. You're going to have this massive, AI in the cloud. I just send queries and that's going to be the future. But what we're realizing is that's not really the case. Companies have tremendous amount of operations that they want to optimize, and they have people who are in the plant. They want to know, well, is my production schedule optimized for how my machines are performing today? Do I have the right number of people? Am I going to hit my target at the end of the day, what I need to produce? So that entire data, being able to collect the data from all the endpoints and connecting that is not so easy. There's legacy sensors that are 20, 30 years old. They're not connected to anything. They're just doing a function. So you have all these siloed systems, different generations of systems, different protocols, different vendors. So we introducing what we call Edge AI into our offering, which connects all of these, makes it easy. You just plug it in, it detects all the sensors, allows them to start using that data. And we can use 5G as a backhaul inside, and bring all of that together for them. So everybody is looking at saying, how do I leverage AI and edge AI inside my factory so the data stays local, it's secure, doesn't leave the premise. And that's the offering that we are putting together as part of our edge services. So we have edge, we call it our edge as a service offering, where we include private 5G network, edge compute, edge AI, devices, and the applications around that, because we recognize that unique need that they have. So that's how our portfolio is evolving, as I hopefully answer that.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Alex, similar question to you. How are Nokia's private network solutions, products, and services addressing the diverse needs of the private network market?
Yeah, thanks, Emma. So yeah, we're very fortunate to have a portfolio which is wide, right? So we're supporting CSPs across the globe. We're active in virtually any country. We virtually have any band in our portfolio, and that helps. In addition to its having the ability to support in many different form factors. So when we talk about the larger macro networks, or if we talk about the networks with more smaller form factors as micro or on campus or pico or indoor kind of form factors, we have all of these solutions in our portfolio. And in addition, that portfolio is super scalable when it comes to its use of in configuration of the network, the design of the network, and that's where we work extremely close with our partners, supporting them where they do or do not have capabilities in terms of designing these networks, but also work on different edge solutions, things of which complement and which add on to is the 5G wireless network experience. Things as optimizing of the video streams, where we're developing solutions with our Bell Labs organizations and bring these to the market, like RxRM, for instance, as one of the examples, right? So with which we optimize the video streams and with which we can capture 360 video camera footage, but really provide a very, very efficient way to transmit that data and to provide a very low latency video response service to its customers. As just one example. To us, the partnerships and as I said in the beginning, so ecosystem partnerships are key and critical. And that's not only what we have here with NTT, but also wider into all of our segments which we support. So we're proud to have deep relationships into our key segments. For instance, when we talk about utilities, to have very strong knowledge and expertise, people who have been working with utilities for very long and who know exactly what the segment requires. And similar goes to its smart cities, similar goes to its governments, or when it comes to its ports, airports, roads, where we understand either with a direct interface or with our very solid partners, what are the problems that they are facing and how can we solve them? How can we apply our leading technology to solve their day-to-day problems.
Absolutely. I think, Alex, you already answered my next question about the role of partnerships and how do you collaborate with them for successful deployment. So maybe I'll move the question to Parm. Parm, what is NTT Data
Yeah.
strategy for
Yeah,
partners?
exactly. So, this is a great point. Companies also looking for standardized offerings globally. So many, if you look at global multinationals, they don't have just an operation in US. They have factories and plants throughout the world, many of them. So they're looking for these standardized offerings. So as Alex said, I think that's another key unique element that large companies want to standardize. They realize that they can't operate in the old model where, one of their operations in, one country is doing something, then it's not available in another country and they're doing that duplication of cost that sort of is affecting that, what we call the OT-IT convergence, which is happening. So ecosystem wise, absolutely. So partnerships are so critical here. Solutions, end-to-end complete outcomes we want to deliver, right? Like device partnerships, security systems and partnerships that we're doing, visibility, because we know that, our networks and solutions have to work with everything else the enterprise has, because we are inside the enterprise. We're not like a macro overlay network, right? This network is what we call it a 5G LAN, integrates inside it has to be part of the environment. So working with, enterprise vendors, application vendors like MES systems and, cloud systems, services, the platforms that the enterprise may have, data analytics systems that they have. So we have to work in partnership with the enterprise software vendors. We also have to work with device vendors, and then the enterprise infrastructure vendors. We work very closely with them because these networks are within there. We bring an entire solution together. We can't wait for, we can't find those problems and show up to a customer and says, because they'll ask us that, well, I need a camera to do this. I need computer vision to, to run and monitor my, operation, any vibration sensor, like all of that has to come together. So we work with a broad ecosystem of silicon partners, infrastructure partners, compute partners, device partners, and application and enterprise application partners, including the hyperscalers as well.
That's all the questions I had, Parm and Alex. Thank you very much for your time and all the insights on private networks and smart cities. If there is anything else that you would like to add before we wrap up, please do so.
Thank you for the recognition for the Brownsville, also for the Rye one for NTT. So we're very proud of that. And it's been great. So I look forward to the next challenge you put in front of us. So,
Thank you.
Very much like to echo that indeed, Parm. So yeah, absolutely, Hema. Thank you very much for all the recognition. We're very happy with all the cases, the awards which we have been receiving from you guys, and I echo indeed. So yes, always looking after and looking for the next challenge, and I'm really hoping that also next year we have enough to amaze people. But stay tuned.